guys, it's Dana and it's time to talk about money. And in this video, I wanted to talk about the 1970s and how we can cut some of our costs, including energy costs, adopting some of the ways that they used to live. So let's get to it. Okay, now you may or may not remember in the 1970s, costs skyrocketed, particularly energy costs, due to an oil crisis. And so during that time period, people had to get creative as far as how they could cut those costs, which is what we're going to talk about in this video. So gas prices soared in the 1970s. Gas prices soar often, I guess. So with soaring gas prices, a lot of times people did carpooling. And a lot of us now are working from home, but a lot of us were working from home and now more recently have to return to the office. More and more people are being told that they have to do that, which means they have to go back to commuting with their vehicles. If you feel like you don't know anybody that you can carpool with, apps like Uber and Lyft, they do offer carpooling options, so it's something to look into. Driving less, that's something that we try to do always. Driving as little as you can. And what that means then is to try to combine outings. So if you have to go somewhere and you have to, go to pick up your prescription drugs or maybe also groceries because you need milk or something, then the best thing to do is to try to combine those trips and try to go places that are near each other. So that way you're not driving to one store and then driving across town to the other or going on separate days. So anytime that you can figure out how to set up your schedule so that you are sort of passing by one place on your way to another, and then it makes it easier to stop, it will cut down on your gas prices and minimize the amount of wear and tear on your car and how much you're driving. Now, the 1970s is actually when energy efficient appliances started to become more readily available because people were looking to reduce their energy costs. So if you haven't already, or if you're in the market for new appliances, then try to make sure you are purchasing those that have that Energy Star rating on them and that they're not going to use up a lot of energy. Or if you have very old appliances that are not energy efficient, it actually might be more cost effective in some cases to replace your appliance with something that will not use as much energy, and then it'll lower your electric bill or your gas bill or whatnot, and then in the long run it might actually save you a lot of money to upgrade that appliance to something that is not such a guzzler of energy. Switching to LED lighting. In the 1970s, people started using lower watt light bulbs. So if you are still, holding on to some light bulbs that are not LED, then you might be having a higher electricity bill than your neighbors. So if you switch out some of the light bulbs in some of your lights, it actually can really significantly reduce your energy costs. Because not only do they use 75% less energy, they last longer, so you won't have to replace them as often. Families in the 1970s started weatherizing their homes. So what you can do here is making sure that you have seals, correct seals on all of your windows and doors. You can even get some of those really cute, cozy things like they're like a pillow and you stick it down under the door to prevent drafts from coming in. So if you try to, take note and walk around your house, see if you can, even if you run your hand, especially if it's winter right now, but if you feel any cold air coming through, then that there might be something you can do there to more properly seal it up so that you won't get such a draft, and it'll help you with your heating costs. In the 1970s, families started lowering their thermostats. They kept their houses colder. We do have 4 kids, so we don't want to keep our house too cold. We try to keep it warm for them. However, we do what I've talked about before, house coats or robes. I have like a terry cloth robe that I love so much that I always pretty much have on in the winter when I'm in the house because it just keeps me so much warmer. So if you have house shoes and house coats to wear, you and your kids, then you can actually keep that thermostat lower than you would otherwise. Because if the kids and you are running around in bare feet or, shorts or just t-shirts, then you're going to feel colder and you're going to want to turn up that thermostat. But if you dress appropriately in the house, it doesn't have to be a coat, but like an actual robe or something. You can even have like a flannel or something that you can put on, and socks and some kind of inside shoes. We love Crocs. But they actually do, it helps keep your feet. If your feet are warmer, then your body is warmer, is what I always say. So definitely don't walk around barefoot, because then you're going to want to turn up that heat. Also, if you can get programmable thermostats, then you can program it because if you think you're going to remember, I think I'm going to remember sometimes and I don't. All right, so if you get a programmable thermostat, which will turn the heat down at bedtime or like an hour after bedtime, then during the nighttime hours when you're all cozy in the blankets in your bed, you don't need the house to be quite as warm as you do during the day. Or if you're now leaving the home to go out to work into the office where you used to be home during the day, then maybe during those hours you can program your thermostat to turn the temperature down while you're not home. So that's going to also really help to improve your energy costs if you can program it to lower and rise the temperature dependent on when you're home and when you're not, or when you're sleeping and when you're awake. So people in the 1970s, when gas prices soared, they turned more to public transportation. So if you have a way to take public transportation, then I highly recommend it. So I used to live in Boston at one point in my life, and I loved the T. T goes everywhere. It was fantastic, awesome. So if you have a train or buses or something in your area that you are able to connect with, then do it. So actually, I used to love riding. When you're on a train, it's like you can sit there and you can read. I read a lot of books that way, or you can get work done if you bring your laptop. It's kind of nice actually to sort of sit there and have someone else doing the driving, so you can just kind of work on your own things. But that might save you money versus using your own car. If you can drive to the train station, get on and use that as a form of commuting to work, if you can. In the 1970s, people started using less hot water. So maybe you want to limit your hot showers. And, again, with kids, I've got 4 kids, and they just like to just stand in the shower. Like, I don't know, they just like to stand in there. I don't know if you can relate. Let me know if you've got a teenager or a 10-year-old who likes to just stand in there, because the warm water feels good. It's relaxing. But then the hot water's running in the shower for like 20 minutes. So we have a timer. There's a timer, you have a set amount of time to be in the shower, wash your body and all that, get cleaned up, and then you have to get out. That way, the timer goes off and there's a knock on the door, it's time to get out. So maybe you want to start doing that where you can set a timer for yourself. Maybe you have a habit, just like you kind of zone out and you're using too much hot water. Also with washing, maybe you're doing too many loads of laundry on hot water. Maybe you can change the setting on your washing machine to be tap cold, so you're not using warm or hot water in the washer. I find that, it gets the clothes just as clean. You don't necessarily need hot water running through your washing machine. So maybe check the settings on that. So this hadn't really started taking off too much in the 1970s, but in the 1970s, people did start to experiment with alternative forms of energy. So solar panels, like I said, they were not widespread, but people did start to take an interest at that time. So I don't really like the cost still of solar panels, and in our area here in the Philadelphia area, it doesn't really make sense to use those necessarily, because it's like, I do see people have them. I see people around with solar panels. But as far as the number of days that we have where it's sunny, but if you live in a very sunny area, then it might make sense. I wouldn't recommend going into debt or financing them, which I know a lot of people do. So keep the cost of it in mind. But if it's something that you can do, then certainly that could help to reduce your energy price. Oh, and I should mention too that some states do offer incentives for installing solar panels. So you might want to look into that, because you might get some kind of government-funded kickback for installing them. Now, also in the 1970s, people paid more attention to their cars' maintenance, okay? So oil changes, making sure that you are doing the things you need to keep your car running as well as it can. And, you know, here in Pennsylvania, we have annual inspections. I know not every state has that, but that helps because then when the car is inspected, we know like what needs to be, you know, fixed or replaced. But if you haven't taken your car in for an oil change, then you know you might want to consider that because that impacts how your car runs, how efficient it is. So it's every 3,000 to 5,000 miles or every 3 months. Usually we just go every 3 months because we never actually make it to the mileage limit. I wouldn't, you know, so anyway, so keeping up with your car maintenance will help you to save money because then your car will run more efficiently, or it won't break down so you won't have to replace it, of course. Now, all of these frugal strategies in the 1970s sort of evolved out of necessity. And but I would say now there's a need, right? I feel almost like it's a necessity right now. So, you know, adopting some of these things into your everyday life and trying to just make them habits is not going to hurt you. That's for sure. You're not going to be mad about saving money, right? Having a lower electricity bill. So even if it's just one of these items that you try out for the next month or two and see how it goes, you don't have to do all of them, but hopefully some of them. If you do decide to do one of them, let me know down below in the comments what you are going to try or what you've been doing that has been helping you to cut down on your energy costs. That would be wonderful. I'm sure I missed some. I'm sure there's some other ways of doing it. I'm trying to do a new series here talking about different time periods and what we can learn from them and how we can save money adopting some of those same frugal methods that they used during that time. So if you would like to see the video that I did prior talking about the Great Depression, I'll go ahead and I'll link it up here. And if you do, I'll see you there. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Okay, bye guys.